So it is Friday, and as we have seen in the last couple of days, about this time during the day, we get more information on the Governor Cuomo situation, particularly with what was, until moments ago, 6 women coming forward with accusations of sexual harassment and more against him. Now, a 7th accuser has come forward. New York Magazine is reporting a journalist says, and I want you to listen to the quote, "Andrew Cuomo's hands had been on my body, on my arms, my shoulders, the small of my back, my waist, often enough by late 2014 that I didn't want to go to the holiday party he was hosting for the Albany press corps at the executive mansion." Why does this matter? This young woman was 25 years old at the time. She was working press corps with the governor. There were very few as young as she, very few women in the press corps, and it was their job, and I quote, to report on his every move. She was going to skip that party. She thought it might hurt her career, wouldn't give her the kind of access the other press corps had. So she went. And what she thought might happen did. According to this report, the governor grabbed her for a picture, wouldn't let her go, had her by the hands. And this is what I want to read out loud. Governor Huckabee, I'm coming to you after I say this. He turned to me with a mischievous smile on his face, this was during the picture taking, in front of all my colleagues and said, quote, "I'm sorry, am I making you uncomfortable? I thought we were going steady." Governor Huckabee, he said that he never touched anybody inappropriately. Didn't mean to make anybody uncomfortable, wasn't aware if he had. Apparently he had, and he was aware, according to this woman.
Harris, I want to be fair and say that he's entitled to a presumption of innocence and to all of the processes of due process. He's entitled to that. But he's not entitled to continue to pretend that there's not some serious allegations from credible witnesses. And let me point out that most every single one of these 7 women, now 7, continues to grow. These are not partisan. These are not Republicans who have an axe to grind on him. These are people who at one point worked for him. They believed in him. They wanted to be on his staff, or in this case, a member of the press. Somebody that certainly has no reason to just want to go after Andrew Cuomo. There's no indication that she's a partisan. But they're beginning to find their courage, increasingly so. And that's why I'm going to repeat what I said before. It's over for him. It's over. And it's not a matter that he still has a right for due process and presumption of innocence in the criminal process, but he does not necessarily continue to have the moral authority or the capacity to govern when this many allegations come against him and his own party has now abandoned him and left him to himself.
Well, and what you're saying about the due process and the fairness of the law, innocent until proven guilty, and all of that, this is politics. So you make such an important point. We're not saying set aside all of that and don't look for the evidence and don't investigate. Absolutely, you have to do all of that. You listen to the women and then you investigate and you match that up. But politically, what you're saying is, for him, it's over. It's over because this now is overtaking everything else he's doing. Leslie, we have just found out that Governor Cuomo plans to update New Yorkers on the state's COVID-19 response and make an announcement in about 30 minutes. Your response, your thought is now a 7th accuser has come forward.
Governor Huckabee, you and I rarely agree, but this is one time that I agree 100% with what you have said. Due process, presumption of innocence. As you had said, Harris, let the investigation play out. But the problem, as I mentioned earlier today, is that he is in a position where he can no longer govern. In 30 minutes, what he is doing is perhaps trying to put some positive information out there, look like he can continue to govern, and certainly provide a distraction. You know, Harris, I mentioned to you that I have been the victim of harassment. And one thing I can tell you, and every victim can tell you, and you don't even need to be a victim to know, that predators are Democrats, predators are Republicans, predators are men and women, mostly men, sadly, and men in power. And what we are hearing from these victims and what we are seeing is a pattern of predatory behavior, using that power, knowing that some of these individuals, like this latest victim, this 7th victim who has written her account, women often feel, and not just in political realms. My predator was not a politician, but was my boss. And I have to say that, you know, when I hear this, it really brings back some really nasty memories, and just how many years and how many women out there have been subjected to this and have remained silent, because she wrote it so beautifully and so honestly, and I can relate to it. And I got to tell you, you don't want to go to that meeting with that individual. You don't want to go to that party, but you fear that it will hurt your career if you don't. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because this person, this alleged predator in this situation, has the power and holds the cards to your future power.
Thank you for sharing what you have been through, because I know it never gets any easier, Leslie. I've known you a long time. The New York Magazine, talking with this young woman, and here's what she goes on to say. I never thought the governor wanted to have sex with me, which is exactly what Leslie's talking about. It wasn't about that. It was about power. Tommy.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I've never gone through that experience myself, but as a young woman, especially in this kind of an industry, I can certainly feel for her. And I do believe that her words are very genuine, and it was very brave and bold of her to come forward. You know, and again, going back to what the governor said, I think that his political career is over, but I do think that there needs to be an investigation, whether he does have the good sense to resign or not. This still needs to be an investigation. These women still need to be heard. We still need to look into the nursing home scandal. Just simply resigning isn't going to make all this go away. And we're owed to the victims of not only the sexual harassment, but also the victims of the nursing home scandal. Everyone deserves answers here, and I hope that we're going to get them, because they certainly deserve that much.
So, Emily, what is the process now?
Well, in terms of this, so look, the forcible touching element that we talked about earlier, that has to do with intimate body parts. So from what I've read thus far, unless something changes at the end of this article, it's breaking, and so I haven't got to the end of it, but it doesn't appear that that would fall under forcible touching. But essentially what we have right now are multiple allegations of sexual harassment in the workplace. We have one allegation of forcible touching, which is a crime. It's a misdemeanor in the state of New York. And then we have 2 additional allegations of inappropriate touching from non-employees, right? This journalist, and then from a prior woman before. So as of yet, it's my understanding that the Albany police does not yet have an official referral. However, they can refer to the DA themselves. So it remains to be seen whether criminal charges will be filed. It remains to be seen whether civil charges will be filed, whether a lawsuit will actually be filed. And I have to say, you know, I agree with you that this article is written beautifully. The words of this woman here really resonating, to Leslie's point about it being likely triggering for many who have been through these. And she says, I made the reflexive assessment as his hands were on her that most women and marginalized people know instinctively, the calculation about risk and power and self-preservation. I knew it would be far easier to smile for the brief moment it takes to snap a picture than to challenge one of the most powerful men in the country. And we've heard this theme. We've heard this theme from the prior accusers who say, I wasn't going to speak up until I heard these other women speak up. Right. And it was then that I felt maybe my life won't be destroyed. Maybe people will actually believe me. Maybe I won't be threatened with death and career assassination and everything else that happens in this country when political, powerful men are accused. There are strength in numbers now simply because apparently one isn't enough at this point in our country.
Well,
but this article, I think, sums up beautifully.
We saw the same thing happen, Emily, with the nursing home scandal. I mean, Janice Dean and others began to beat the ground. We brought in, on Outnumbered Overtime at the time, a nurse who had come down very young and had seen some stuff behind the scenes and had some pictures of the PPE that she was using every day, because it wasn't being given to them. Nursing home that she had been assigned to help out people coming from other states at this governor's request, help out, and they were steady flowing positive cases of COVID into those most vulnerable environments. So it took a lot of voices. It took a Democrat among those on the New York Assembly, Ron Kim, to come forward against this governor and say he was bullied. and having to do with what he called the cover-up of numbers and all of that, and the nursing home scandal. It took more voices. I want to end with this young woman, and we're going to move on. She says, journalists are often told not to let themselves become part of the story. More than 5 years ago, I left Albany for a new job in Florida. But many of my former colleagues and friends are still there, trying to retain objectivity even after enduring harassment. So she indicates that there are more. I can speak out because I have, and she puts this in quotes, survived Camp Cuomo. The others are still living it.